Alright guys, I'm Peter Hartnell, joining Pete Ward today to go over a little bit of Magic history. Pete, we can see you on the screen going up against Autumn in the Nationals semi-finals back in 2017.
Man, the memories, dude. It's already hitting me. This was the most iconic match of my Magic life, which Magic is my entire life, so most iconic match of my life.
So, okay, let's talk about what you're playing here. So, you come into this one as the 4th seed, going against Awesome. They're playing the 4-color energy deck, which you can see they're already getting some energy out onto the board. And from what I understand, your deck is designed to kind of poop out as many zombies as possible in a short amount of time. And the card you've got on the board at the moment is one of those methods of doing so.
Right, yeah, we're both off to a good start. Autumn's got that turn 2 mana accelerant, Servant of the Conduit. I've started with Crypt Breaker, which is the absolute best start for my deck. You know, I either start with Crypt Breaker or I don't, and actually you got a second one. This card is crucial for being able to grind because it lets me draw cards. Oh yeah, and Autumn misses her 3rd land drop.
So you fatal pushed Autumn's mana generating, but they still got the energy from the card from when it came in.
Right, right. So that means like it can generate value off any future energy card. This is back in Kaladesh Standard when energy was probably the strongest deck in the format.
So that's something that's kind of interesting that's happened there. So that first card you put out, you know, it has the ability that if you tap 3 zombies, you take a life damage, but you get to draw a card. And I presume that's what you just did then.
Yeah, I was actually missing my land drop as well, but because I have the Crypt Breaker, I'm able to play out a 3rd zombie, use the ability, tap 3, draw a card, find my land. I'm able to play to the board whilst also hitting my land drops. It's pretty big. I mean, already at this point, the game is looking really tough.
Apparently, the production staff also like your Crypt Breaker because we can see in detail what it does there. So yeah, so not only have we got the tap effect, we've also got the tap and discard to get more zombies out, which you haven't used as of yet, though.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's okay. So one of them's been, I believe, has just been shot.
Yeah, by an Abrade. Autumn decides to try and take me off having 3 zombies. Well, it's just so likely I'm going to play another one because...
Yeah, that doesn't seem ideal. Or maybe, well, I guess at this point, because Autumn hasn't played anything at all, apart from the stuff that's been killed.
Yeah, it's likely Autumn has a hand of, you know, more expensive cards, like 4 drops and higher, and they just have to do something to interact with me. And it's better to shoot that one on Autumn's turn because... then I can't use it to, like, with the tap effect to draw a card. So if they let me on tap, then yeah, the difference is if they let me on tap, I can play a new zombie, use that one to tap 3 to draw a card, and attack with one of the ones I have in play. But this means I can't.
So
get an attack in.
Let's talk about the Colossus that just came into play. So that gets a 1/1 for each zombie you have, and every time you cast a different zombie, you get then a 2/2 zombie token, which is, I guess, what's going to start happening here. Yeah,
this card, it's a must answer. I mean, I've seen Autumn just using a Braid on my Crypt Breaker. They left up Lumbering Falls. Oh, we had DECKLISTS as well because it was the top 8, and I know there's no 1 mana interaction. It's just 2 mana, the Harness Lightning and their Braid, so my Diagraph Colossus is going to be safe. I mean... the Diagraph Colossus is a must answer or you lose because you just fall too far behind. At this point in the game, I mean, Autumn's still stuck on lands. My board is huge. Okay, they do find the land this turn, yeah.
So what are they going to bring out? So that, yes, you said they haven't got any main decks that I can see sort of mass removal. Okay, so this is the card that's kind of interesting. So you've got the Woodland Wanderer, which is... you notice this is... because
you see I pause here? I remember this. I remember pausing there being like, oh, it's just Woodland Wanderer? Pretty sure I win the game. I don't know why I paused for so long, but I think I was just really happy. I was just like, oh shit, I think I just won the game.
So this is particularly the Woodland Wanderer. This card here is particularly important because in your previous round you played against Mikhail Dimikas, who was playing the same kind of deck, but instead of the Woodland Wanderer, this was the only card that was different between the 2 decks. You had Bristling Hydra, which is kind of a similar-ish kind of card, but had the ability to get hexproof, whereas the Woodland Wanderer is more just of a big old beat stick.
Right, yeah, the Woodland Wanderer can actually be answered by my removal spells, but if I I guess the difference is if I don't actually have a removal spell, the Woodland Wanderer can actually end the game 'cause it's a lot larger than a Bristling Hydra. Usually comes down as a 6/6, but here only able to access 3 colors, so 5/5.
So
Oh, and then I have cards in my hand like the powerful 5-drops like Liliana's Mastery, but I didn't hit my 5th land, so I couldn't like immediately end the game. So I just like draw another card, play this Lord.
that's pumping your whole board and also giving them menace, which is pretty good when Autumn's only got 1 creature.
Yeah, I mean, there's no main deck board sweepers. It's just, I mean, at this point, Autumn can probably concede. I mean, yeah, there we go. I go for
Just
the
for
1
good
mana.
measure.
I go for the 1 mana Dark Salvation. I played that turn so slowly. I mean, that is just horrendous. I would be pretty pissed if I was my opponent there. Like, I just need to cast spells and the game ends, and it took about 5 minutes that turn. Not sure.
So let's talk a little bit about Dark Salvations. I mean, it came and went so quickly, we really didn't get to see it because some of these are older cards. So just for the sake of any of you guys who are Magic players who want to play more recently, so it's kind of a flexible card that lets you, well, you play 1 black XX, and then you can get black zombie creature tokens, and then target creature gets -1/-1 to the end of turn for each zombie that player controls.
Right. So it gives a creature -X equals the number of zombies in play. So I just played it for 1 mana, not generating any more zombies with it. But I had like 8 zombies in play, so it just immediately kills the Woodland Wanderer that Autumn paid 4 mana for. I paid 1 mana to destroy it, and my board was like 8 zombies. Right. No main deck board sweepers. There's no coming back.
So
They're just showing the bit of the other semi-finals match whilst we're sideboarding here.
So while we've got the chance, because we kind of went into this quite quickly, let's kind of set up a little bit of context for the guys watching this. So can you talk me through, I know that we're in like the semi-finals of the 2017 Nationals, but can you tell me a little bit about the actual event itself and kind of, what's led up to this day in this particular series?
Yeah, so the stakes right now in this match and in my match, but the winners of these will both qualify for the World Magic Cup, which my mum has described as the Tri-Wizard tournament of Magic.
Best description. Yeah. I think they should adopt it officially.
It's pretty epic. You get to play for your country, and I believe this was like a 300. No, this Nationals was a 500-person tournament, and it was over 2 days. There was 12 rounds of Swiss. It was standard and draft, and I made my way to the top 8, trying to play for the spot on the team here, and I'm a game up, feeling pretty good about my life.
So let's talk a little bit about the sideboarding. So we're not seeing it going on at the moment, but there is some important stuff that's going to happen. You noted, Autumn, they didn't have board sweepers in there. That's probably about to change.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Autumn has only 2 board sweepers in their 75, which was actually very uncommon. And sorry, this was becoming more common. This is part of the reason I chose the zombie deck. I actually remember this. The teamer decks were starting to board less board sweepers because no one really played like mono black zombies anymore. No one played these really fast decks. So yeah, Autumn only has 1 Chandra Flamecaller and 1 Radiant Flames as board sweepers.
So for any of you guys who aren't aware of that, because I sure as heck wasn't when I came into this one, so Chandra Flamecaller, which comes down effectively, one of the options you can use with her is to do 4 damage to everything, which is going to be big enough, at least most of the time, to kill off all the zombies. And what's the other one was?
Same with Radiant Flames. It deals up to 3 damage for 3 mana to the board based on how many colors you spend. So it's most of the time it's going to be able to sweep my board.
So one of the ones which is less obvious that is going to be most likely coming in here for Autumn is the Magma Spray, which is just do 2 damage to something, and if it dies, it gets exiled. Why is that particularly important? Right.
That's also a 2 of in Autumn's list, and it's the only way to cleanly answer Relentless Dead, which is a really good source of card advantage and lets me grind against the teamer deck.
We didn't really get to see this come in, so could you just take us through?
My draw was too quick to really start grinding.
So could you tell us, I know Relentless Dead is a little bit of a wordy card, so just for the sake of anyone who hasn't had a chance to look it up, can you kind of also sum it up?
Yeah, so it's this double black 2-drop, so it's 2 mana for 2/2. It has Menace, and whenever it dies, you get 2 triggers. One, you can pay a single black to get it back to your hand, and then you can also pay X to return a zombie that costs X from your graveyard to the battlefield. So your opponent never wants it to actually die, so it's just kind of a 2/2 unblockable, or it means they don't really want to ever attack into it either. And it generates a lot of value in the really long games.
So yes, and that's the thing that the Magma Spray specifically deals with, because it doesn't die, it gets
exiled.
exiled.
Right, yeah, because you don't get the die triggers when something gets exiled. The Magma Spray is the only clean answer. Autumn also has Confiscation Coup, but that card's just generally way too expensive, and not going to do enough in the matchup that I wouldn't expect that one to stay in. So just pretty much just 2 Magma Sprays that can deal with Relentless dead cleanly.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we didn't really see in that game, which is almost anything out of Autumn's deck.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of stuff in there that's pretty scary. So we've got the Sky Sovereign, which is the ludicrously over-the-top vehicle, which is kind of like the headline vehicle that, when it comes into play, does 3 damage, and every time you crew it and it attacks, it also does 3 damage, while also being an enormously huge flying creature.
Yeah, and I'll certainly be bringing in that one from my sideboard, because both sides don't have too many answers. Actually, that's a lie. Autumn has a bunch of answers for it. But anyways, a Sky Sovereign unchecked from either side is gonna end the game. It's gonna take over. And so my sideboarding is gonna be the 1 Sky Sovereign and 2 Hour of Glory to answer opposing Sky Sovereigns.
So yes, we need to make a real point here of saying that another thing we haven't seen so far is we haven't seen the Chandras coming out, which we mentioned. There's a couple of different kinds of Chandras. The Torch of Defiance is the more standard one, which lets you just kind of draw cards and potentially do sort of spot damage. But we also haven't got to see either the Scarab God or Glorybringer as of yet.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these big 5-drops and Planeswalkers that can take over the game, and I mean, it didn't really show that game, but this matchup it can stall out. The ground can get really gummed up, and Chandra, Torch of Defiance, or one of these 5-drops can take over the game. Particularly if I have a slower draw that doesn't involve Crypt Breaker. But
okay,
my deck does have these explosive draws where you just run over the Teamer deck.
So I imagine we're probably... How long is sideboarding?
Well, I'm sideboarding, so it's going to take me approximately 3 hours. I don't know. It should probably come up soon here. They might have actually wanted to watch the end of this game on coverage and told us to wait.
Okay.
Playing.
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about the context here. So that first game pretty one-sided. Because you knew coming to this one that Autumn was the number 1 seed coming in, hadn't lost at all in the tournament. I mean, it hadn't lost any series in the tournament this far, at least. Firstly, can you tell me kind of how did it feel to win that first game, and how did this play at all into what you were expecting for game 2?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was feeling super confident. I'd been beating a bunch of Teamer decks throughout the tournament. The main reason I chose to play the deck was because I thought the most popular decks would be Mardu, Vehicles, and Teamer, and I had a really good matchup against Mardu Vehicles. And I thought I was pretty even against Teamer, but I knew how to play the matchup really well. I was expecting to grind them out, or just sometimes get the free wins, like you saw in game 1. So being a game up, I know that I just have to win. I get to be on the play for one of the next games, right? At least, even if I lose the next one, I then get to be on the play, and I mean, I should be a favorite, you know.
So let's talk about the being on the play. So getting to play first, because there are some concerns coming in from Autumn's deck when Autumn gets to go first. We've got this long Tusk Cub. I mean, again, kind of like with everything, we barely got to see any of Autumn's deck, but we know that's a very important card early on.
Yeah, that's certainly a card that on the play can run away with the game. Looks like we've kicked off there.
Oh, there we go. There's a long Tusk Cub. So for any of you guys who haven't seen that one, it's if it gets to hit someone, you get 2 energy counters, and you can pay 2 energy to put a +1/+1 on it. I imagine that can get out of control pretty quick.
Right, so particularly on the draw, I'll have as many copies of Fatal Push in my deck as I can, and I'm just looking to deal with the long Tusk Cub so I can actually have a chance at playing the game and grinding out or whatever.
So you're in a pretty okay position here. You've got the Relentless Dead. No, sorry, not the Relentless Dead. The Dread Wanderer, which is a 2/1. So that's as big as the Long Tusk Cub is. So there's no expectation. Oh, okay, no, the Long Tusk Cub.
Yeah, right. But Autumn just cast Tune with Aether, which generates 2 energy. So already the Long Tusk Cub can get 1 counter. And if I don't, but I didn't play a 2-drop, so they're probably expecting Grasp of Darkness here, not expecting to like connect or whatever with the Long Tusk Cub, but it gets in. I don't know what kind of hand I kept. I mean, this is already looking pretty bad, but
yeah. So I suppose yes. So you've got the Fatal Push, because that destroys creatures based on its converted mana cost. It doesn't matter how big the Long Tusk Cub gets. Sort of. Right. Well, I mean, it obviously does matter, but like you can still kill it with that. And yeah, the Grasp of Darkness, the -4/-4 till end of turn. I guess Long Tusk Cub could potentially get out of range of that.
Yeah, like right now with this energy from the Servant. If those counters were dumped in, the Long Tusk Cub could grow up to be a 5/5, so it wouldn't be able to be grasped. I just tap out for a 3-drop.
Oh, hello. So what have you done there? Oh,
I've Dark Salvation the Servant. So for 3 mana, that creates 1 zombie, and then it'll give it -2/-2.
Okay, so why was that important at that point?
I mean, it's kind of like mind control, right? Like I destroyed a 2-drop and a 2/2 and created a 2/2. It's a pretty big swing.
Okay, so that's a lot more mana, and then so the creature just played. Let's also get some more mana, and as well as that, a land is on top.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly had no answer to the Long Tusk Cub, or I would have played it. So I'm just trying to stay on parity as much as I can. But if Autumn develops anything else to the board, I'm just way behind.
Yeah, so at this point, with 6 energy, so the Cub could potentially become a 5/5, and each time you're not blocking it, that's more energy that's getting pumped in as well. So it's just kind of, even with only 1 real creature out, that's still getting out of control already.
Yeah, it's just snowballing really hard, and I mean, it's insane if I draw Fatal Push, because I get to undo all of this work for 1 mana, right? And there's no like counter spells in Temur. Like it's clean. If I find Fatal Push, the game turns around.
So I guess at this point you're just kind of holding on for that. So I noticed you have hit in for like 1 swing so far, but are you kind of at the point where you're just going to start throwing things in front of the Cub?
Yeah, it's going to get to that point very soon.
Okay, so let's your guy can.
This is a Crypt Breaker, so this one can tap 3 zombies to draw a card. So I can start like jump blocking and drawing cards to try and stay even, to try and claw ahead. Autumn's just thinking here with the Crypt Breaker on the stack. They had a few removal spells, so probably want to point one of my zombies in like whilst it's on the stack, so I can't like draw a card.
Oh, so that's right. Well, can I hear myself?
Oh no, they decide to let it resolve and just save the removal for the actual Crypt Breaker.
Okay. You might need to turn me down a little bit, Pete, just because I can hear myself coming through from you.
Oh, right. I don't really know how to do that.
Okay, I'll just speak softly. It'll be fine.
Okay, alright.
So yeah, so you've got your Crypt Breaker, so you're in a much better spot than you would have been had you not drawn it. You mentioned before that the Crypt Breaker was kind of a bit make or break for your deck.
Yeah, no, I think I drew it for turn, this turn, so I felt like my chances were looking much better now, because I can start to generate cards whilst also chump blocking off this Cub that is a massive problem.
Okay, so yeah, we've got another one of the Relentless Dead. So that's the one that you can play from the Relentless Dead. Yeah, no, sorry, not a Dread Wanderer. Yeah, so there's a lot of Dead and Dread in this deck.
Yeah, these are the ones you can get back from the graveyard. If you've got 1 or less cards in your hand, you can pay 3 to get it back.
But it does come in tapped, which is important.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's see. So Awesome presumably has gotten probably as much as they're going to get out of their Long Tusk Cub at this point. So there you go. So blowing up your Crypt Breaker to at least stop you from just doing that forever.
Yeah, and because it's a 1/1, it nets 2 energy, so that's another +1/+1 counter that goes onto the Cub. It's currently a 6/6, has the ability to go up to an 8/8.
Oh, wait, you're in a position now that you don't have any blockers either.
Yeah, I tapped out to draw cards to try and find, I don't remember, probably just more cheap spells to play on my turn.
I guess, yeah, you're really hoping for that Fatal Push removal as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, yeah, they go. Autumn spending the energy. The long top Tusk is ridiculously enormous. And here we go. Our good friend, Treeface.
Yeah. I kept on leaving up 2 mana. I guess I don't really know what my hand was. Oh, there we go. I draw Hour of Glory. So that's an answer for the Long Tusk Cub, finally. But it does cost 4 mana, so...
Yeah, so this is the exile target creature spell.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess you're not in as horrible a position, but you're still on 2 life at this point. And, you know, presumably the longer the game goes, the more energy that's floating around, the better Autumn's looking.
Yeah, and I can answer the Long Tusk Cub, which I'm going to have to chump block for the rest of the game. Or I can answer the Woodland Wanderer, which is a 5/5 trampler.
Yeah.
Which is pretty disgusting when you're on 2 life. So it was kind of a tough spot now. No, I just decided to play a 5-drop. Oh, it's another Dark Salvation. So create 2 zombies and give something -5/-5 until end of turn. So I'm sure I targeted the Woodland Wanderer.
Oh no, you can just chump block the Cub.
Which is, that's an insane turn.
Yes, okay, so we're back in a kind of like a semi-coherent position.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's a big 5-drop from Autumn here, like a Glorybringer to just fly over and finish the game, right? Or a Sky Sovereign that is going to threaten to kill me. But I would have an Hour of Glory for the Sky Sovereign because it doesn't have haste, right?
Ooh, hello, what's that?
Autumn just reveals double a braid to remove my 2 blockers and attack for lethal.
Ugh. Oh well, never mind.
I remember being like, I didn't really smell it coming because, you know, they paused earlier in the game when I cast Crypt Breaker, right? So it's very clear that Autumn has a removal spell at that point, which they didn't cast. But then the Harness Lightning comes down on the following turn, so I'm like, okay, we now don't really know much about their hand. They might not have any more removal spells, but then just Autumn having double braid was, I couldn't really tell. I mean, it was kind of rough. I think attacking with the 3 creatures there was fine, because my plan is most likely chump blocking and cracking back, right? Hoping Autumn doesn't have much going on so that I'm able to just go wide, basically was the plan. But yeah, that was kind of a sick way to end the game immediately.
Okay, so if we look at that game as a kind of example of maybe what we're going to get roughly in game number 3 now that the major sideboarding's been done.
Well, it's very different because I'm now back on the play, and the Long Tusk Cub draws are just way worse because, you know, if that game I was on the play, I would have had like 2 or 3 creatures in play before the Long Tusk Cub could even attack. So it's like, it's a lot different.
Okay, so yeah, so what we've seen so far, we've seen a Long Tusk Cub get out of control. So what you're saying is that's much less likely in game 3. So presumably, then Autumn's going to be going on to some of the other as yet unseen bigger finishers. Right,
yeah, the Long Tusk Cub is less likely to snowball or even do much at all. I'm not sure if Autumn even sideboards them out on the draw, but it's possible.
So yeah, so stuff we've yet to see. We've yet to see the board sweepers. We've seen how much actually even just the spot removal has, like, you know, it stops you from just kind of sitting there and drawing forever.
Yeah, I mean, spot removal is really important. I have so many must-answer threats like the Crypt Breaker, the Diagraph Colossus, even the Lords, like the Lord of the Accursed will probably overwhelm the Teemo deck.
So, was there anything, I don't know if you can recall, but was there anything that would have made sense for you to be bringing in for this 3rd game?
I don't think my sideboarding changes a whole lot. Like I said, I probably don't need the Fatal Pushes when I'm on the play because the Long Tusk Cub is not so much of an issue. But yeah, no, I liked how my deck was in the matchup.
Well, actually, speaking of your deck, I realised we haven't actually mentioned this, though we talked about it beforehand. Can you tell me a little bit about your deck and why nobody else was really playing it?
Oh, right, yeah, it was super unpopular. Like, I remember these Zombies cards were all about to rotate out of Standard. So I picked up the deck on Magic Online to practice the week before, and it only cost me like $10 for the whole deck, because these are all dead cards that no one cares about anymore. But I actually thought it might be a good choice for the tournament. Started practicing it and was like, yeah, this has got a great matchup against Mardu. I think I can be favored in against Teema because I know how to play well there. And I'll just have a good sideboard plan for the approach control deck that was running around, which was the really bad matchup in that format. I should have known, stupidly, English players always play control decks, and I ended up playing against 2 of those, but I drew my sideboard cards and managed to win. Anyways, but this deck was so sweet. This zombies deck, it was kind of crazy how everyone forgot about it. It was really powerful, as you could see in game 1, just kind of stomped.
So I'm trying to sort of think out how based on what we've seen so far, kind of how your deck's going to function. What do you do if you run into? I'm just trying to have a quick check across you. So let's count out the amount of potential. So yes, we've actually, yeah, you're right. It's a relatively small chance of the very expensive Planeswalker, 6 mana Planeswalker that wipes the board, and there's only 1 board sweeper otherwise. So that seems like there's a huge difference in how well things are going to go, whether or not Autumn actually draws, particularly the Radiant Flames.
Right. Yeah, there's only 2 board sweepers in the 75, and you can also recover reasonably well. If you can get your creatures to above 4/4, sometimes the Diagraph Colossus will be bigger. The Relentless Dead has the dice triggers, right? So you can, if you leave mana up, you can pay a black to get it back to your hand, and you can pay 3 mana to put Diagraph Colossus straight back into play, and it'll be as big as the amount of zombies that have just died as well. So you can put a massive, you can get board swept and then just immediately put a massive Diagraph Colossus into play. So it can just be, kill you, untap, kill you after you get swept.
Well, something I particularly liked about your deck, which we'll have to include somewhere as a link to it, it's just how incredibly straightforward the idea is, which you don't tend to see a huge amount.
Yeah, it's a lot of 4-ofs. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess these cards were just way better than the other available options, right? So you just want to max out on all of them.
Yeah, well, I kind of like it. I mean, so for any guys who look at a deck list, yeah, it's just we kind of it feels like we're going to see for the most part the same kind of thing every game. I mean, I guess it feels. It's just a strange thing to have something that's because it's so straightforward. Presumably, if people know almost exactly what's going to happen every game, then they've got a very clear idea of how to best play against it as well.
Yeah, that's true. But then, like I said, the most broken draws, like when you start with Crypt Breaker, you can't really do much against because I'm drawing so many cards. I remember keeping this hand. I think I had 4 lands, 3 spells, and I was like, but it had a decent curve, so I was like, I probably have to keep this. But then, yeah, so I started with Dread Wanderer, Grasp of Darkness, and Relentless Dead. I choose to not play Relentless Dead turn 2 because if I do that and it gets killed, then I don't have any mana up to save it, right? Because you need that 1 black available to save it.
Oh, and you've gone for the instant kill on the Long Tusk Cub as well.
Yeah, so I leave up my Grasp of Darkness instead of playing the Relentless Dead. And now turn 3, we'll have the Relentless Dead with leaving up a mana. So now it can't really be answered unless Autumn finds 1 of 2 Magma Sprays.
I'm interested because you said that you weren't as worried about the Long Tusk Cub that you'd choose the Grasp of Darkness.
It's because I didn't really have much going on, so I kind of had to kill it, I think. I could have probably waited, but...
So here's an interesting card. We've got the Rogue Refiner. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this card was pretty insane in Teema. There you go, it's on the screen. It cantrips, it makes energy, which is basically equivalent to 2/3 of a card as well. But it is only a 3/2 body, so my 2-powered zombies are able to attack into it here. And it's reasonable value for me because the Dread Wanderer can come back, and the Relentless Dead has Menace, so it can't be blocked anyway.
Yeah, so you're looking in a pretty good spot. So yes, you got some of your zombies out. You're not quite at the 3 zombie threshold. You don't have the Crypt Breaker to allow you to just draw all the long day, but I feel like you're doing all right.
Yeah, I think at this point in the game though, I was kind of breaking it because my hand was 3 lands, or yeah, 3 lands after I deployed my Relentless Dead, because I'd just drawn only lands after keeping my hand, and then I think I drew for turn a 3-drop that I'm gonna play. So you know, I'm just playing off the top of my deck for this whole game now.
Sorry, what's Autumn doing there?
Oh, just blocking with Rogue Refiner, trading.
Oh, I see. Right.
Trading for the 2/1. So yeah, I think I drew Diagraph Colossus for turn, and then I make a land. I'm just back to having 2 swamps in hand. So yeah, I mean, you can't really tell by looking at my face, but I'm absolutely bricking it because I've got nothing going on.
Yeah, so at this point, okay, so yeah, so here we go. We got the Planeswalker for the first time this series. So this is the Torture Defiant, so the one that we able to, as it did, just kill off the Colossus.
Yeah.
And then sit there generating mana. Or presumably not generating mana, getting punched in the face by your little dude.
It comes in, gets the immediate value. The Diagraph Colossus must answer, but my Relentless Dead's able to finish it off. There you go. I top deck another Diagraph Colossus for turn. So I'm like, okay, I've drawn something. It's not one of my like haymakers, right? Like my Dark Salvation or my Liliana's Mastery, but it's big. It's an actual play. You know, it's not just a land. So I'm still feeling like I'm in the game, but I'm still sweating at this point.
Well, you mentioned Liliana's Mastery. That's one of the ones which I particularly like, because you've effectively got 8 copies of the same card. In that you've got the Lord of the Accursed, which gives all your zombies +1/+1 and gives them menace, and you've got Liliana's Mastery, which gives all your zombies +1/+1, but also poops out 2 zombies.
Yeah, no, it's kind of big variance on. If you find one of these big spells, they're pretty game ending. If you find them on curve, which I quite clearly haven't here, because if I had a big 5-drop, I would play it.
Okay, so what's going to happen here? Okay.
Finding a land drop.
So we're still... I still feel like you're looking okay, but I have to think, because we keep talking about the bigger stuff coming out for Autumn here, and we're getting to the 5-mana area where we can see Scarab Gods, Glory Bringers, the kind of the world-ending cards.
Yeah, and it's in a really good spot for Autumn because I've got nothing going on really. Like these 5-drops can take over the game. Like if a Glory Bringer came down this turn, it would munch the Diagraph Colossus and then threaten to just generate a lot of value. But it looks like Autumn didn't have a land drop, so had to play a tune this turn, which means a 5-drop's not possible. But it's a Woodland Wanderer this time with 4 colors, so it's a 6/6.
Yeah, so that's big. So vastly bigger than anything else you've got. So you've still got your. So you still got your Relentless Dead.
Yeah, I survived the turn with my 2 creatures. I'm hoping to draw anything that's not a land, and I draw another Relentless Dead. So that's going to trigger Diagraph Colossus. It's going to make my board look a lot more impressive. I'm going to have these 2 recursive threats, right, that are going to be really hard to deal with. I'm thinking now, when I draw that Relentless Dead, actually, I'm thinking, right, I'm against a board sweeper. Even a board sweeper, I'm like super safe because my board's just going to come back.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
I'll have enough mana to, let's see, I play the Relentless Dead, make a token. I can pay for both Relentless Deads and put like a Dread Wanderer back into play. Or I can just pay for a Relentless Dead and a Diagraph Colossus. I could also get back Dread Wanderer this turn because I've got the spare mana, right? But that would mean in the face of a board sweeper, I could only return 1 Relentless Dead to my hand, which is why I chose not to do that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like that's really worth it. Though it's worth noting, of course, the Woodland Wanderer, they have got trample on them, so, you know, it's still not going to be ideal here.
I think this is actually a really close decision because a board sweeper is really unlikely, and I could just lose at this point to Autumn playing out more creatures, like a second Woodland Wanderer, right? Would just be kind of backbreaking, like... Oh, actually, I don't know if the Woodland Wanderer can currently attack because I can block with the Relentless Dead and pay to get it back to my hand and get back the Diagraph Colossus. So I've kind of got 1 attacking that the Autumn can never block, and 1 blocking so they can't really attack or block currently.
But it's going to take a while before that's going to...
Yeah, it's very, very slow, but I've got this value engine of the double Relentless Dead going. So I'm actually feeling very confident at this point.
So yeah, we're still waiting on. So we've got a 4 mana something coming down. It's another Chandras. So
yep.
So again, yeah, doesn't have an amazing target here, but I guess can at least take out your token generator.
Yeah. Autumn decides to tick up and make a tireless tracker with the mana, right?
So that's the first time we're seeing this series again. So this is one that gets you a clue token every time Autumn plays a land, and also gets bigger every time those clues are cashed in for cards.
Yeah, but currently, I don't think there's a land drop. So Autumn makes a clue, but the tireless tracker is just a 3/2, so that's reasonable. I can attack in with all my 2-power zombies, right? And they'll trade. It's this Woodland Wanderer I'm not super happy to attack into. So I draw for turn, I have no cards in hand, and then I believe I tank here for quite a while. Can you guess which card I drew, Pete?
Actually, outside of just land, I'm not sure, actually.
A lot of people thought it was land because I'm trying to think about like what my attacks are.
You don't look very happy.
Yeah, I don't usually look very happy when I'm playing, but I actually drew the best card in my deck.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You're bamboozling us.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how to extract the most value, how to end the game with this spell. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm literally thinking, how do I lose this game right now?
I like your showmanship as well. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm not going to reveal the spell. I mean,
I appreciate that.
But like, I'm just really thinking, how do I actually lose this game?
Yeah, I think that's a very good thing to think. Like, I think a lot of time, I think people are kind of averse to thinking that way, just because of the idea that you're encouraged a lot of time to be more positive, as opposed to being realistic.
Yeah, well, it's usually you're thinking, how do I win? What's my best way to win? But when you're this far, I'm thinking with this draw step, I'm really thinking I'm super far ahead. How do I actually lose? It's Dark Salvation. I choose to pay 5 mana, make 2 zombies, and can give something -6/-6. So I just take out Woodland Wanderer, and now my board is insane. The only thing with this is, in the face of a board sweeper, I'm only able to get 1 Relentless back to my hand, right? I could play the Dark Salvation for less, but then I wouldn't be able to take out the Woodland Wanderer, right? Because I had to make the max amount of zombies to give -6/-6. So it meant I would be chump attacking. I wouldn't be able to attack my Diagraph Colossus, because that would just get eaten by Woodland Wanderer. Or I'd be chump attacking with my zombie token. I could also like give Woodland Wanderer -5/-5, and then make an attack. And looking back, that could have actually been the better play. Just make 1 zombie, give Woodland Wanderer -5/-5. I choose to attack all at face. I probably still do that. Tireless Tracker would probably trade with the zombie token. Woodland Wanderer just probably wouldn't block. So I think the same outcome would happen, but now there'd be a Woodland Wanderer here. But I still have an insane board, right? I've got these menacing Relentless Deads.
Yes, and you've also got a massive life lead as well, so you can afford to take a few boots to the face.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because the Woodland Wanderer couldn't previously attack because the Relentless Dead threatened to block. But anyways, Autumn is in just a huge bind here.
Ooh.
Just goes to crack the clue here.
Yes, of course, last time round the clue couldn't be cracked because Autumn didn't have any mana left open, so also their creature couldn't get bigger as well.
Yeah, it's pretty massive.
Okay, so still every time Autumn goes to go for the mana, I'm just waiting for that 5 mana turn and be like, ooh.
Yep, Autumn chooses to plus Chandra here and add double red.
Okay.
And it's Chandra Flamecaller.
Well, there's the board sweeper.
That was drawn off the clue token.
So going straight for it. Okay.
Yeah, -4/-4, because the Diagraph Colossus is deal 4 damage to the board. Diagraph Colossus is a 4/4. And imagine if I had, because the only way I lose to a board sweeper, the thing is, if I do the Dark Salvation play, where I give -5/-5, and the Woodland Wanderer is allowed to live, I'm afraid that I lose to like Autumn playing out some more creatures. But because I have 2 Relentless Deads that have Menace, I don't think that ever happens. I think that was actually a really big mistake. But either way, I left myself up with just 1 mana, so I return 1 Relentless Dead to my hand, and the other one goes to the graveyard. So I draw for turn. Let's see what I've got here. I replay my Relentless Dead. It's just a land, but I bring back my Dread Wanderer now. Autumn's at 4 life. I still have this recursive threat.
Yeah, so you've now got 4. You're threatening for 4 damage as well.
Yeah, I'm threatening lethal here, and you can't really see because of the glare, but Autumn does have a Lumbering Falls. So very worst case, they can animate the Manland and block Dread Wanderer. But if that's their turn, that's horrendous. Like, you're really not achieving much there.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Sky Sovereign. But honestly, you see that and you're like, okay, that's how Autumn could turn the corner here, right? But it's not. It actually just doesn't help. Like, sure, it kills Dread Wanderer, but Relentless Dead is menacing, and if it ever gets double blocked, it comes back and it brings a friend, right? It'll get back Diagraph Colossus. So the situation gets worse, right?
And also worth noting that the Sky Sovereign, while it does do something when it comes into play, it's crew 3, and the Servant the Conduit is only a 2/2.
That's a big investment. If you ever wanna attack with it or even block with it, it's it's going to be hard to double block the Relentless Dead even. So I draw another land for turn, get back my Dread Wanderer.
Autumn's down to 2.
I'm still thinking, I don't know how I lose this game.
So presumably we're at the point now where the fact that so if we is that the
that's Magma Spray.
That's the So we have seen the Flame Caller of the sideboard come in, and the Magma Spray, the one like the 2 card out of the entire deck that could actually deal with it.
Then the Lumbering Falls gets animated, crews up the Sky Sovereign. Yeah, the Magma Spray, one of 2 cards that can actually munch a Relentless Dead in the list. And when that happened, I just felt depressed, honestly.
Well, okay, so would you still at the point that if
at this point, Autumn has Sky Sovereign online with the Lumbering Falls can crew it. I'm drawing really slim now, and I just draw a land, but it's insanely hard for me to win this game now.
So presumably, if you got another Relentless Dead, presumably you'd at least be able to get back your Diagraph Colossus at least once it immediately got blown up by the vehicle.
I mean, if I had that second Relentless Dead from earlier, there's really no way I lose this game. And I think that turn was actually... I think I actually misplayed that, which is pretty soul-crushing to realise,
Oh man, down to 4.
I mean, I passed the turn representing Hour of Glory, but... there's no way...
you might as well.
There's no way Autumn doesn't just crew an attack.
Oh.
But Autumn's
Autumn's
a really lovely person, so I was very happy that they won. Anyways, if it wasn't me, it's nice that it was them. To be honest, obviously I would have rather won, and it was really, 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 really savage the way that I lost.
So
it still hurts, dude.
Yeah, well, honestly, I admire you for being willing to go through this match, considering how, this is not a good memory at all. But it's a significant memory, so I think it's worthwhile. Alright, well, we'll call it there. Thank you very much, Pete, for taking us through that semi-finals. Hopefully, some of the times these things happen on the battlefield. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And I guess we'll both catch you all around.
Thanks for watching.